Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing another video from Grab the Lantern today. We're back at it again with the Legends of Runeterra. I know it's been a while since my last game, but today we're going to be playing the Udyr Gnar deck, which I don't even think is the best deck necessarily for Gnar, but then again, what isn't the best deck for Gnar? The card is absolutely phenomenally powerful, and so are a lot of the individual cards in this deck. I feel like this deck has the option of playing both controlling and aggressive depending on what you pull, and has a lot of different ways of actually closing out a game once you manage to take control of it. So it's actually been a lot of fun to play. I've really been enjoying it, power creep aside. It has been fun, and I do like a lot of the things that's going on with it. My one regret is that I wish Udyr was slightly weaker, or slightly stronger, because I feel like he's more interesting than Gnar, and I just don't get to use him as much. But either way, let's go ahead and do the card by card and tell you guys what we've got going. At the 1 mana mark, we have Inventive Chemist. This is a fun little tech choice due to the Scrappy Bomb that it summons. This guarantees that as long as I have one of my 4-cost flippers in hand when in turn 1, I can drop Inventive Chemist and guarantee that they're able to flip by the time turn 4 rolls around. 3 copies of Three Sisters, a phenomenally powerful card. It's extremely flexible, and I don't think I really need to tell you guys too much more about it, given how good it is and how much of a powerful card it is if you're in the Freljord. 3 copies of Bone Scryer up at the 2 mana mark here. Bone Scryer is the way for me to play a little bit more controlling because he can really stop early game aggression. Your opponent doesn't really want to attack into them unless they give you free Nexus damage and guarantee that your flipping cards can come down and flip on them. So he's actually ends up being pretty good. I don't know that he's a good target for stance swaps, but he is nice from that regard. Moving on to 3 copies of Pokey Stick. Pokey Stick, I think, is actually it's a really good card. I don't know that I even need to sell you guys on this. It's super good. You can go to the dome with it to trigger your flippers. It's really powerful. 3 copies of Stone Stackers. I think this is a good aggressive card because it guarantees Nexus damage. Like, even if your opponent has a 3 health card that can block it, the impact means that you're automatically going to get off, which I think is very important. And 3 health also makes it a fairly decent defensive card because it's just going to kill anything weaker than it in combat without really taking too much damage, so it's a very good card. 3 copies of Troll Chant. If you're in the Freljord, you play Troll Chant. This is the, 2 mana strong spell from the Freljord specifically, so it was going to be in this deck. 3 copies of Tusk Speaker. This is a little suspect, and it's not that good if you're behind because you can't often afford to take the damage to your own Nexus, but it does have the ability at least guaranteeing you a single Nexus damage proc when he comes down, and then if he's able to swing and overwhelm over somebody on turn 2, you're going to get another Nexus damage proc. It's a decent card in that regard, and it can be very aggressive, so that's why I'm playing it. 3 copies of Wallop, absolutely phenomenally strong card. Not only gives you the ability to close out games if you have an overwhelm unit swinging in, but it also incidentally does damage, letting you use it as removal, and it also gives you the ability to play defensively if your opponent swings with something big or something elusive. Like, Wallop just does so many different things for you. It's absolutely phenomenal. 3 copies of Gnar, and Gnar is not okay, and I fully expect this card to get nerfed at some point because he just does too much, but maybe that's a video for another day. Either way, we're playing him today because he's an absolute house. As long as you're able to get the Gnar to flip, maybe off of something like your Inventive Chemist bomb that goes off on turn 4 when you play your Gnar, you're just going to be able to win the game. He's removal, he's a finisher, he gives you lots of value in the form of extra Pokey Sticks. Even his champion spell is phenomenally strong. So Gnar is absolutely a powerful card, and I would love to see one in my starting hand. 3 copies of Murkwolf Shaman. This is another one of the 4-cost units that's able to really get you a lot of value if you can get an Nexus damage proc off on the turn it comes down. You kind of want to be very careful about when you play it because it's not that healthy to start with, but if you're able to get the flip, it not only replaces itself, but becomes a very beefy unit that can kind of swing every turn, and your opponent can't really do much about it because of the regeneration. So very powerful indeed. 3 copies of Teenydactyl. Everyone knows it, everyone hates it. This card is so good because not only does it reward you for getting a Nexus damage proc on that turn, but it also then guarantees you your Nexus damage procs for the rest of the game, as well as giving you an opportunity of just burning your opponent down over turn after turn. Obviously, it's not that crazy of a clock, but the fact that it just consistently does damage without even needing to go to combat is phenomenal, and it's well statted. Like, Pterodactyl is awesome, and definitely I'm looking to see either a Gnar or a Teenydactyl in my opening hand, ideally with an Inventive Chemist as well. Moving on to Udyr. I like Udyr. I don't think he's that good. A 5 mana 4/4 that comes with a free spell is okay, but unless you bank full spell mana, Udyr doesn't really do that much for you. He doesn't feel that worth his mana cost. Obviously, you do have these stance swaps to kind of sort of make him feel a little bit better, but trying to get a 5-mana 4/4 to successfully strike to give you a free stance swap, or to make the stance swap in hand cost 0, it just doesn't do that much. It's really hard to actually play that off, and instead I'll usually use the stance swaps on one of my other units, like my Gnar, for example, to just make it even harder to kill. Obviously, if you flip your Udyr, he becomes a little bit better and can kind of be a finisher on his own, but unless I see my my Shaman's Calls, I really don't think Udyr's going to do that much for me, but I like him, and he goes in the deck. 2 Mammoth Shaman, this is the big finisher of the deck. If the Gnar fails and the Udyr fails, Mammoth Shaman will not. The fact that Mammoth Rager gets the +2/+2, basically the turn it comes down, means that you have an 8/8 Overwhelm for 6, which is phenomenal, and he only gets better from there. If your opponent doesn't immediately answer this card, he can and will close out the game in the next couple of rounds, which just makes him really, really powerful, a good way to finish the game. And finally, 2 copies of Shaman's Call. This is a little suspect, but I like it personally because the 2 fleeting stance swaps is actually really good, because they cost 0, which means that you can just play them out without spending a bunch of mana. Obviously, you kind of paid the 6 already, but it means that you don't have to play a unit that gives you stance swap, then watch the unit get removed, and then the stance swap does nothing. The Shaman's Call gives you immediate value, as well as double stance swap, which I think stacking the buffs ends up being very powerful. So we're running it here at 2 copies. And that's the deck. It's very powerful, it's very consistent, and it's very, dare I say, metagame. So I'm expecting good results today, but given my luck, we'll see how that goes. So let's go ahead and hop into games and see what we can do. Here we go for game 1 against Yuso Odengo, who's playing the Pantheon Faded deck. It's basically everywhere, as Kennen Ahri has been nerfed on the most recent patch, and this is basically the best deck that's left. So we're going to have to be dealing with what it can put out today, but at least we do have the Inventive Chemist in hand. Obviously, none of our 4-cost flip guys, but hey, it's a good thing to start with, at least, I will say. Okay, into the Gnar, do really like that. Let's go ahead and run out the Stone Stackers just to guarantee ourselves a Nexus damage proc, and he's also still got nothing, so hey, we're getting in for 5 here. I believe we could have done a little bit more if we'd have come down with a Tusk Speaker, but I wanted to make sure I was hedging my bets. This should be the Wounded White Flame here. I'd be phenomenally shocked. Yep, turns out. And unfortunately, I don't have the mana for 3 Sisters. I think it makes sense to just let him hit me. Oh, he might actually... Okay, he's going to use Tough to give him a proc. I was scared of this, so I could have come down with a Bone Scryer, but I decided that was probably a bad idea. That's totally fine, though, because what I'm going to do on this turn is be able to run out the Gnar. But you want to do that in what I like to refer to as, like, main 2. Like, you kind of want to wait to see what your opponent does. So... the problem is I can't give him a Fury proc either. I'm just going to pass and see if he wants to develop. I may be passing up this opportunity if he passes back, but my guess is he's going to want to develop somehow. Okay, yeah. So there's the Zenith Blade. That's okay. So he's going to get his Faded proc, and I don't know that I have a good answer for a big Faded unit as is, but we will run out the Gnar here, and sort of hope he doesn't have any way of punishing me. He did spend some mana, but a single combat would be pretty bad. Okay, Saga Seeker, totally fine. I don't care about that. Alright, so we have the Gnar flip. The problem is that Wounded White Flame is actually big enough to the point that Gnar can't even kill it. So that's a little frustrating, but we do have our ace in the hole, which is 3 Sisters, and the Murkwolf Shaman as well, so we have theoretically a way of replacing the Gnar if it does get removed. Obviously, he just gives you a random unit when he flips, so, you know, it's not that big of a deal, but see what our opponent wants to do here. But definitely saving up mana for the 3 Sisters is going to be the optimal play. He's got to have combat tricks. The question is how many he's got. Okay, and he's immediately... Okay, he's going to go for the Zenith Blade here. That's totally fine. He's going to go pick up the last copy here as well. And I don't have a good second blocker for that. And I want to hold double 3 Sisters because I know there's going to be some really silly stuff happening here. So let's go ahead and do a Fury of the North. Because this will not only make Gnar big enough to kill the Wounded White Flame, but will also make it so that he survives the hit. My opponent will come out with a combat trick. There's no way he doesn't have one. Yep, there's the Sharp Sight. So this is his Faded proc as well. So his guy is big enough. He's even going to go for the Pale Cascade. Really making his guy quite large. And ooh, I did not do my math because I don't have enough mana for the second 3 Sisters. So the Gnar is going down. At the very least, though, we're getting him... Oh, no, wait, hold on. Fury exists. Well, that's a pretty big misplay. We probably just lose this. Yeah, that's a really bad card as well to have. If I do swing here... I'm going to do this to see what he wants to try and go for. I do have the second 3 Sisters for another Fury of the North. see if we're able to actually get over this. He only needs one card, which he almost certainly has. And I can't even Pokey Stick for a little bit of extra damage because of the tough. Yep, there's the Guiding Touch. And he's back up to 7 health. And that's going to make it really hard to come back into this. We do at least have him at fairly low life. I can come down to the Murkwolf Shaman, flip, go get another unit, kind of at least keep the board fairly decent. Obviously, his units have Overwhelm, which is pretty difficult. And there's the Pantheon as well, which is not good for me because that Pantheon's, I mean, he's going to flip. He's staring at the Zenith Blade in hand. Into the Teenydactyl, I think a little bit too late. But messing up with the Gnar there was not good. Okay, this is the Pantheon flip here, and let me do some quick math. I don't think I'm, strictly speaking, dead. But it definitely is not going to be easy. Pantheon got Regeneration, Challenger, and Quick Attack, which is going to make it difficult to trade with him. And I'm staring down all units. Yeah, I don't think I can come back from this, so we are going to call it here. Did our best, but that Gnar misplay I think is what's going to cost us, so disappointing start, but hey, it's fated. It's the best deck in the game right now, so let's go on to game 2 and see if we can't pick up someone else. In for game 2 against Lotus, 353, playing the Ahri Kennen deck. And this is a deck that actually has just sort of disappeared, I want to say, over the last patch or so. People are really not playing this. Okay, thanks, bud. Good start. We're off to a great start here. But also he's in Shurima. Not sure what he's doing in Shurima with this deck, but I mean, that's the thing, right? You can kind of play whatever you want. We'll go for this because I know he's not going to block with the Mourned. And I have got the Pokey Stick for it on the next turn here as well. Yeah, I'm just going to remove it. If we trade out for a recall spell, I think that's totally fine. The Mourn is not worth any spell that he's playing to save it, so yeah, that's totally worth it on my part. And I think we just want to go straight back to combat. We do have the Tusk Speaker, actually, so let's run that out. Guarantee us a little bit more damage here, and I don't think there's much he's going to be able to do to stop a 3-2 Overwhelm from at least getting Nexus damage in. Wouldn't be surprised if he came down with the Kennen now. He'd have 4 mana to protect it. He's got nothing, though. Okay, we're going to take the damage where we can get it. And just go ahead and pass it on back. This is going to give me my Gnar flip. And this is actually really good timing on the Gnar, because anything he plays, Gnar will be able to come down, give it vulnerable, and then immediately flip. Okay, that is the Kennen. And I almost want to hold off on doing anything until after combat, because I don't want the Kennen giving the Mark of the Storm to the Gnar specifically. Okay, yeah. So I will, well, actually, there's no reason to block here because my guy just, yeah. So, okay, you get the free damage in. That's okay. And there's no reason for me to play the Wallop, guys. He's got something. He's on 3 mana. There's no reason. So I'd much rather just run up the Gnar here and sort of say, hey, do you have an answer for this? No, you don't, because it's Gnar. Easiest champion to flip in the game. All you need is Nexus damage, and it's not hard to do with all the tools you have in these 2 colors in particular. So let's just go ahead and get in for some damage here. Obviously, I could get hit with something like Will of Ionia. I could get hit with something like Twin Disciplines. Actually, Twin Disciplines doesn't do anything here. He is going to block with a Kennen, but my assumption is a recall. But even if you do that, I still trample through because of Overwhelm. So it's sort of like, what's the point, right? Yeah, see, there's no reason to block there because of how recall and Overwhelm work. Unless you're recalling the Tusk Speaker, but then I get to replay it for more damage. So I think he's trying to do that math right now. Different card, though. Okay, he is going to go for the Homecoming here. So I am going to Pokey Stick. See if I can draw out a Deny. And if I do, I can then Wallop the Kennen to just kill it. Okay, Nopify. That's fine. Unless he's sitting on another Nopify, we're coming out on top here. If he is, that's okay. There's nothing I can do about it. We're getting all of it. Okay, Discipline of Fortitude. Totally fine by me. We got a lot there. I do feel like we got a lot there. We're still sitting on a pretty good board. I've still got the Gnar in hand. He stays flipped until he sees me, until he sees an attack token go all the way by. So, okay, there comes the Kennen again. So we want to play this again a little defensively. So let's go ahead and just Scrappy Chemist. It's fine. So he's gonna remove the Tusk Speaker. Nothing I can really do about that, but I do have the second Tusk Speaker in hand. I can't run out the Udyr or the Gnar yet because he's got that Mark of the Storm. And now he's got double Mark of the Storm. His Kennen is at 3 of 5. That's okay. And I don't even really want to play the Wallop on the Kennen now because that's Okay, yeah, so he's just going to Mark of the Storm the first one, and then Mark of the Storm the second one, because it's how Kennen works. I almost feel like this can't be a burst spell, right, because you needed the ability to respond to it. But, like, with how many copies the Kennen player can play, it really does feel like it almost should be, just to save time. Alright, that's fine. Hit me. Go die. We have a pretty good way of, like, threatening lethal on this next turn. Okay, he's going to run out the Kennen. So he does have the ability of now killing my second Tusk Speaker, because it's Kennen. But we still have Gnar in hand. And more importantly, we have Wallop to potentially just go for the insta-kill. So let's just go ahead and drop the Gnar. Oh, my Udyr's ready to flip. And the question is, how do you stop me from just going to combat? You probably recall the Kennen and the Gnar is what you're going to do. He's got a lot of mana too, so odds are he has some kind of defensive spell to keep the Kennen alive. Okay, he's just going to straight up go for the will. That's okay, I suppose. It's not really okay, but we are going to swing here at least to try and get in for some kind of damage. And what else has he got? Okay, he's choosing to not play it because he doesn't want to play anything that's going to leave him at too low mana to do anything. So we get to remove the Kennen! Hey! I will take it, and we've got him down to 4. So we're really, really close to being able to close this one out. A Teenydactyl off the top would be awesome. Wayfinder missed! Oh, Wayfinder missed! That's huge! That means he's out of Kennens. Wait, how can he be out of Kennens? Oh, wait, no, he missed his Allegiance proc. That's what he missed. Because he's in Shurima. Why is he in Shurima? He hasn't played any Shuriman cards yet. Okay, go fishing again for a Kennen. And you get the droplet instead. You hate to see it happen. Here comes Udyr. The funny thing about Udyr is that he's going to give me value, and if my opponent flickers him, I get another stance swap for replaying the Udyr. So we definitely want to Tiger Stance the Udyr to try and end the game. Yeah, I don't care about blocking this because that unit's just going to go die. Let's go ahead and put a Tiger Stance. And even if my opponent counterspells this, it's totally fine because I can just play the Gnar on the next turn and still be able to threaten. Wayfinder for the mourned. He is not finding his Kennens. I believe he gets one here though, which means he also gets his Kennen flip. But unless he has a burst way of recalling Kennen, like, I'm just going to combat. I don't think there's anything that stops me from just killing this guy right here. Unless, Concussive Palm, you waste some value. Okay, yeah, Concussive Palm. Tragic, but you do waste a little bit of value because your guy just dies. You're going to probably Mark of the Storm the Udyr, which means that if I get another stance swap, I'm going to want to drop it on the Udyr for regeneration to keep him alive. Nothing I can really do about the Kennen just being obnoxious, but, you know, it's there. Oh, he's going to mark the... That's fine, I guess. He probably has a way of recalling that Kennen in hand. Let's Mammoth Shaman here, though. And I'm also going to do this because it's a way for me to block some stuff he goes in with to maybe just burn him out. This can't go Nexus, unfortunately. And I think realistically what we're doing is just hoping he can't OTK me. Okay, he's turning everything sideways. So he may be desperate. I think what I do here is actually double Wallop to just kill his guys, and then he doesn't have that much left. Okay, Absolver. Yeah, so he's gonna try for this. I'm just gonna Wallop once, on the off chance that he has a counterspell or something else he wants to do. I didn't think about Absolver. That's actually not bad in the Kennen deck. Okay, Absolver's return on the droplet into... Nopify again? Okay, deny, That's okay, because now I'm going to do another Wallop. Do you have another counter spell? Because the important part for me isn't that I get the damage off, or like the important part is just that I'm stunning them and taking a little bit less damage because he thinks he has some way of killing me. Okay, Absolver here into Absolver's Return, so you remove the Udyr. That's okay, because I'm going to get a stance swap out of the Udyr strike regardless. And so now I can do... Let's go ahead and drop a Boar Stance here. And I still have mana for the Gnar, because he's 4 mana, even after he flips. And he's, like, out of cards. He's going to get, I think, a Kennen in hand, but... No, that's right, he got a Wayfinder, who is flooding the board, but into my Overwhelm units, I don't think there's anything he can do. Swing here, just to make sense, just to make sure. But I think, he might have other stun spells, he might have other recall spells, but does he have 2, is the question. Either one of these hits are going to kill him. Okay, yeah, we must have gotten it. He's got... something here. Okay, 2 spells. Okay, Homecoming and Recall. Yep, that's not gonna do it because of Overwhelm kind of screwing the Kennen deck. Recalling stuff doesn't actually do you any good when the unit's got Overwhelm and it gets Nexus damage through if you do it like that. So, hey, we won against a metagame deck. Obviously, Kennen Ahri's been nerfed quite a few times, but happy to see it regardless. Let's go ahead and hop into Game 3, see what else we can get done today. Back here for Game 3 against Grifter Sucks, playing Soraka Galio. I think we saw this in a previous video, and it was kind of sort of ridiculous. The starting hand is a little suspect here, but we're going to keep the Bone Scryer, and okay, into the Teenydactyl Inventive Chemist. I do like that. If we have the ability to stack some mana as well, we have the Shaman's Call, but he's going to come out with a Petricite Hound, and I'll do this to just make sure we can remove it if he does choose to get aggressive. Yeah, which, there's no real reason for him to do this. I kind of just want to attack here. Yeah. Just going to try and get in for the free Nexus damage. We need 7 Nexus hits to flip the Udyr, so I think it kind of makes sense. And we're actually going to get the trade, so I think that's totally worth it for me. See what he wants to come out with next here. Durand Sculptor. That's a really good unit, and unfortunately, I don't have a way of actively going out and killing it, so he's going to get some value. Petricite Broadwing would be kind of sus. But again, there's nothing I can do to stop that. I don't want to play the Chemist, I think, necessarily. Now the problem is it's big enough to actually get through my Chemist, so I'm not going to bother. I'll keep that in hand, bank the mana. And Star Spring. That is a way for this deck to win. I don't think you necessarily need to play Star Spring in this deck. I think I've said this before, but it's whatever. So we'll get in for the free Nexus damage. That's cool. I will bank the rest of the 3 spell mana to potentially put Shaman's Call on the table for a future play. And Teenydactyl. I'm not doing anything else this turn. I feel like this is pretty safe. I don't think there's much he can do to really just like reach out and kill the Teenydactyl without also removing his Petricite Hound. Like single combat could be a thing he's running. Okay, he's just going to take the opportunity to play the Soraka, who's really thick. And we'll just get a pass here, and here comes the Pterodactyl, who's actually pretty scarily large at this stage in the game. I've got the Gnar as well, and this is the funny thing. Pterodactyl flips, and so my Gnar is going to flip when I play him as well. Like, it's just phenomenal. It's not fair. Like, this card is so good. Okay, yeah, he doesn't want to go in with the Soraka. Yeah, I don't think you want to attack here at all. I guess. Clearly he has something he wants to bait me with. I do have a Pokey Stick. You know, actually, I'm just going to take it. I think that's totally fine. I don't even care. Here comes the Gnar. Because we can go in for a really big attack on the next turn. Crystal, I think that's the first human player I've seen actually main deck Crystal Ibex. I have never seen anybody else play that card outside of, like, the bots. So, that's really funny. I mean, I guess it works for the purposes of preventing Gnar from, like, grabbing anything bigger. And let's just go for it here. Try and get in for some big damage. Okay, this should be Shield of Durand. Oh, Astral Protection. Yeah, that's a good one to have. I do have Pokey Stick available, so yeah, let's just try and Pokey Stick this guy. See if we can't at least kill it. He's dumped a lot of resources into his Petricite Hound here, so if we kill it, that's actually pretty good. We're gonna! Oh, that's really huge! We're even getting our Nexus damage through, because Teenydactyl has impact. We're killing that guy too, because it's Gnar. What? Who plays this? Actually, that's kind of scary with Soraka, I'm not going to lie. Okay, the best play here is going to be Mammoth Shaman, because we're guaranteed this flip, and he's just going to turn into an 8-8 overwhelm on my opponent's turn. Gnar does flip back, though. The one disadvantage of this card is you have to keep finding ways of getting him to flip back, but I've got an Udyr, and I've got mana for a Ram Stance if I need it, so I'm not that scared. Okay, so we will block like so. I don't really care. He's done his job at this point. And we're going to get rid of his Durand Sculptor, so, you know. Even if he has like a Hush or something, this guy's just going to go down to 6-6 and still body his dude. I guess I could have gone for the Troll Chant, but I feel like just getting rid of that guy. Because once he's got rid of this guy, Soraka's not relevant. So let's go ahead and Udyr. Ooh, another Durand Sculptor. That's kind of scary, depending on what he hits. If he's got a Galio, that's actually pretty suspect for us. But let's go ahead and, you know what, I'm going to Ram Stance. And the reason for this, I know it's going to give him value off the Star Spring, but it guarantees my Gnar flip. And that means my Gnar will then be able to go out and murder something else. Oh, hilariously, that also gives me my Udyr flip. I was not paying attention, but I'll take it. So, okay, here we go. We've got a pretty big combat phase set up on this turn. And the Soraka's not even flipped yet. So, yeah, here we go. I don't think... oh, no, actually, I can kill him with Wallop. If he doesn't have an answer for Wallop, we can just kill him. Okay, Astral Protection. Yep, that's totally fine. A really big Soraka. But do you have an answer for Wallop? Because if you don't, the game is over now. He does not. The game is over now. Oh, that's so silly. You gotta see why Udyr, like, doesn't matter. Like, the Ram Stance was marginally useful for helping to proc the Gnar, but there are, like, other ways of doing that, and, like, you just don't need him. You don't. You play the Gnar, you win the game. It's simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. It's simple as that. I'm gonna call it there, though. These games, I have a little bit more limited time to record today than I ordinarily do, but I hope you guys enjoyed the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the games. There were a lot of fun ones, a lot of back and forth, so I did appreciate that about all the games, except, of course, the Fated game, but whenever that gets nerfed, it'll be a much happier time for everyone involved. So anyways, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave it a like. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well, plus the occasional Legends of Runeterra content like today. But I've got a whole playlist of other Legends of Runeterra decks that I've played. So if you guys are interested, you can go check that out and take a look at the other decks that I've gone through. Anyways, if you enjoyed once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all later.